welcome. So this is one of the first videos I'm going to post on my new YouTube channel here, associated with my book. So the point of this video, or what I'm doing today, is covering an element or an idea that's in the book of accepting near-death experiences as truth and fact. So it's one thing to hear about them and know what they are. It's quite another thing to make that mental leap to, I heard about them, I know what they are, I'm skeptical, learn a little bit more, well then that's just what happens. I mean, that's a pretty significant thing. So I spent an entire chapter in the book here and wrote about it at length with a lot of detail, but what I'm going to do here is just kind of hit the high points. First of all, what is a near-death experience? For my purposes and my studies, a near-death experience is flatline death, where somebody has just absolutely passed away. And they're gone. I'm talking flatline, 5 minutes, resuscitation, whatever. They come back, they're brought back to life, and then as a result, they have this near-death experience where they tell people what it was like, what they saw, what happened, and it's an amazing story. Now, that is, for my purposes, that's how I can it. It's very, very specific to actual flatline death. I mean, verifiable, clinically dead. Not someone who had, because you can have an out-of-body experience through meditation. There's DMT, ayahuasca. There's lots of different things that people will do where they've had some kind of similar thing, but not what I consider to be, or what, for my purposes of my research, is a near-death experience. So it's got to be, you're actually flatline dead and then you come back to life. So a lot of people have heard about near-death experiences, but they don't take the time to focus on them and study them and really dive into it. They kind of know about it in passing. They've heard about it being talked about. They know what the concept is, but they're not to the point of actually doing a lot of research on it. And I have, so I'm not gonna, that's a whole nother video of, why am I doing this and what am I doing and what's going on. The background, I'm not gonna get into that here, but the point is that I have gone all the way down that rabbit hole and I've looked at thousands of these things. And now when you start doing research on near-death experiences, right off the bat, you run into the fact that scientists, doctors, medical, they're skeptical. They try to blame it on things like oxygen deprivation, the brain shutting down. This is just what happens in those last few seconds. Well, that falls apart because what happens is the soul is leaving the body is left behind. The body is it's basically just the sack of meat that we're driving around on the planet when we're here. And there's all kinds of things that completely debunk. The scientists are focused on studying the body. It's the body that's alive, the body that's dead, so the body has got to be the answer to the story. Well, that doesn't work because there's all kinds of verifiable accounts where people have left their body, their soul has moved on, and then they have seen things and witnessed things that are impossible for them to have seen. However, they did. And it happens again and again and again. It's just got to the point that the soul has left the body, and that's kind of the whole point. Right? That's the whole point. Your soul has to leave your body in order to have a near-death experience. Okay. Now, the idea of a near-death experience recently with modern medicine, and when I say recently, I'm talking the last 100 years or so, modern medicine has gotten so much better at resuscitation, ambulance crews showing up, very shortly after an accident or some kind of a lightning strike or whatever. Medical response is faster. Modern medicine, a lot of these things occur in hospital settings where people have a heart attack or they die on an operating table or something, and then they're gone for a while and they're brought back. So thanks to modern medicine, more than anything else, the frequencies of these things have gotten more and more frequent, and there's more happening today. There's probably 10, 20,000 people around the planet today, only today, that have had brand new, fresh near-death experiences. So they're becoming way more and more common. Now, it used to be, only going back to the 70s or even the 80s, there was a huge stigma about anybody saying, hey, I died, I went to the other side, I saw Uncle Louie, who died 20 years ago, and telling this kind of a story, people are going to go, yeah, that dude's lost it, man. It's like there was a stigma, there was a mental health stigma there because it was not widely known or widely discussed or even accepted. I'm only talking, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Now there are all kinds of people who had near-death experiences 20, 30, 40 years ago who are now willing to tell their story because they're much more common, much more accepted, and the stigma is kind of going away to a large extent there. So that is making for way more. Now, the other thing too is that now with social media, this thing, camera, YouTube, internet, and a cell phone, anybody on the world, anybody on the entire planet, anywhere, has the ability to watch this video. And it can be shared. It can be shared a million times, literally. So the stories are being told, and they're more accessible than ever. And again, now anybody with a cell phone can go click, record, paste, done. Your video's out there and anybody can watch it. So there's more and more stories being told all the time. Now, when you start studying these things, as I have and watched again hundreds, thousands of them, the story is basically the same thing. Basically, everybody kind of goes through the same process. Their individual details are different. Their individual stories change dramatically because it's their individual story. But the overriding premise or what happens to people as this occurs is surprisingly consistent. I mean, not just a little bit consistent. It's the same thing that happens over and over again. And for me, when you've got, as an analyst, as an intelligence analyst, when you have all of this data, for me, it's not just, ooh, that's an interesting story. I don't listen to one, two. I listen to all of them, and it's all the same thing. It's gotten to the point that they're almost boring. I mean, it's like, okay, so yeah, that's what happened. You died in a car wreck. Okay, you left your body. Okay, I mean, I know what's going to happen next. I mean, it's predictable, and you go, yep. It's consistent every time. And the other thing too is, the nice part is I'm not just studying things that are written down. Somebody writes an account, types it up, and puts it in as a written comment to a Facebook page or something. They're on video, so you can see the eye contact, you can get the body language, you can tell when somebody's making stuff up or if they were just tripping balls or whatever. But when somebody really had an account and they're telling the truth, you can just basically tell. The stories, this is again about consistency of the stories. The accounts and the stories are so amazingly consistent that I've been able to build a computer model so I can take someone's account and I can either take if it's on video, I can, just transcribe the video or have it transcribed with Whisper, get the text of it and then run it through this model and this computer model, and I can score in terms of consistency, because this is what the things that are on all of these accounts, and I score them on a scale from 1 to 100. So sometimes, and again, now it's gotten to the point where I can just read like the first few paragraphs and go, yeah, this guy's whatever, not consistent. It's pretty clear that it's not consistent, but with the scoring system, I can tell you exactly how consistent or inconsistent it is. To the point where I think the lowest score I've ever seen so far out of 100 was a 12, and the highest score that I've seen so far was a 94. So nobody's gotten 100 yet, but the scores that are in the 90s are like classic role model. That's exactly what happens. They hit all the points, everything happens. A lot of the ones that are like in the 60s and 70s, like mid 60s to mid 70s, when I talk to those people, because I'll see something like that, then I'll reach out and I'll talk to them. And it turns out they just left that out. Oh yeah, so I'll ask them, did something like, tell me what happened next. And they go, well, in their account, that what I saw originally, they had left out parts and pieces. I'm very careful not to prompt them and say, did you see any relatives? No, I'll go, and what happened next? And then they'll tell me, well, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. And then, when you include that, then their score goes up. So what happens then is you actually go through this slow progression. When I started looking into these things, I was skeptical as hell. I'm like, nah, this is just something that happens and something that people talk about, but I'm not really convinced. And then you start looking into it just a little bit, and you go, that's really interesting. These things are kind of cool. But then you start to see that consistency over and over and over again. And now it's like, all right, I'm intrigued. And then it's a slow progression. And I've gotten to the point where I just completely flat out accept these things as fact. This is just what happens. It happens to everybody. The interesting thing is, your prior beliefs of whatever belief system you happen to have, and oh, by the way, near-death experiences almost never occur to anybody who is thinking about having a near-death experience, if that makes any sense. It just happens to people. You're just walking around your life the way you are right now. This has never happened to you, and it's probably never happened to anybody that you know. And let's say you're anywhere on the scale from being an atheist to a devout whatever, in terms of a religion, or agnostic, or spiritual, or whatever. Whatever your preconceived beliefs are, don't matter at all. None. Sometimes your preconceived beliefs are will color or taint your experience. So there was one guy, for example, who was I forget if he was Christian or Catholic or whatever, but he died in an operating room, and he left his body, and there's a person standing there next to him. It was a just energy source. It was he described it as being pure light, with just light coming out of every pore. So he looks at it and looks at this person and says, "Are you God?" And the spirit just laughed at him and said, "No, I'm not God." And he goes, "Well, in that case, you must be Jesus." He goes, "Nope." He laughed. He says, "I'm not Jesus either." And he goes, "Well, who are you?" And the guy goes, "My name's Drake." You know, it's like I'm your spirit guide. I'm here to help you transition. And that's what a spirit guide does. They're just kind of there to help you go from this existence to the next. Very, very common. But the thing is, Drake had a sense of humor about it. He's like, "Nope, not God, bro." Just kind of funny, the way the guy told the story. So he was expecting to see God. He was expecting to see Jesus, and he ran into Drake. You know, it's like, okay, spirit guide, good to know. And the other thing too is people who will say, I was a flat out atheist. I didn't believe in any of this stuff. And when a lot of people, their lives are changed after they have a near-death experience. So that happens frequently as well. After the near-death experience, people are changed. So anyway, that's the progression. That's the point. And again, this is a rather lengthy, in-depth chapter that I've written in the book about this. I explore this at length and in depth, and take you through each one of these elements. And there's more to it. Again, this is just hitting all the high points here. If you're interested, please, if you would, of course, like, follow, share this video. And also, you can visit my website, which is winnernde.com. So winner as in loser winner, and then near-death experience, NDE.com. The book is available there. So it's on Amazon. It's an ebook on Amazon. And again, 23 chapters, tearing apart the entire concepts of near-death experience, and how early ancient near-death experiences from 300,000 years ago shaped belief in the afterlife and created the concept of God. And this is where all of these things come from. Afterlife, life review, being able to see everything that happens in your life. Your ancestors are up there waiting for you, that people who have passed on, they are there, and you will too. Here's the cool part. I don't want to challenge anybody's belief system, okay? You can please feel free to believe whatever you want. The cool part is this. It doesn't matter, because we all have an expiration date. We got a tattoo right in the back of our neck, you know, like milk, you know, best if used before whatever day. We're all going to die. That's the one thing we all have in common with every plant, every bug, every bird, and every person. We are all going to die eventually. And when that happens, you'll find out whether or not you decide to accept near-death experiences as truth and fact and just what happens, you're going to find out when your number comes up, because all of our numbers are going to come up sooner or later. Thank you for watching, and have an amazing day. Please get out there and make somebody smile. Thank you. Bye now.